Today, Midday Rotary welcomes Susan Page and Jody Pincus to give us a preview of the 2025 San Miguel Writers Conference and Literary Festival. Back in 2005, way a long time ago, Susan, you established the San Miguel Literary Sala, and that grew from a small group of about 28 people in the beginning to a thriving, huge organization now, supporting more than just the Literary Sala, but you started the prose and poetry. You started the the brain sharing. Uh, Susan has been the impetus and the initiator of so many wonderful organizations here, and we thank you. We thank you. This year, the festival is in its 20th year. 20th year. Jody is the current executive director of the San Miguel Writers Conference. She has over 20 years of experience in nonprofit management and social innovation. Her leadership has enriched the conference with programs like the Spanish Speaking Scholarship Initiative and groundbreaking cross-cultural programming. So today, please welcome Susan Page and Jody Pincus, and let's learn all about the 20th Writers Conference.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invitation to speak. We couldn't be more excited about the conference that's coming up in almost exactly 1 month, our 20th anniversary. When I arrived in San Miguel in 2003, there was nothing going on for writers and readers. There wasn't anything going on in the literary world. There had been readings that I heard about, programs that had happened. So I thought, well, gosh, I put a little article in the Atención, may it rest in peace, and said that I was having a gathering of writers interested in greater community and visibility. Well, 28 people came, and everyone was so excited about the idea of getting something together. We founded the San Miguel Literary Sala, which is the umbrella organization that sponsors the Writers Conference, along with, over the years, we have had as many as 11 different programs under that umbrella, including we initiated Libros para Todos, which is a fabulous program in the campo where we buy, I don't know, 800 copies of the same book, distribute them in some 22 rural communities, bring the teachers in for a workshop about how to teach the book and background on the author. And then the kids all read the book, of course, and discuss it. And then the author comes and visits those villages and signs the books. It's been just an extraordinary. But then they also do a summer camp and other things. That's just one of many programs that over the years the Literary Sala has sponsored. So about a year into, so one of the things we started right away was there was no place for us authors to sell our books, so we started a little bookstore in an existing bookstore, which has now moved to the Biblioteca, where we still maintain our bookshelves there for Literary Sala members and local writers to display and sell our books. And then we started a monthly author reading series, which thrived until the pandemic when we had to stop it. It's kind of been replaced by the Poetry and Prose Cafe. But the Literary Sala, some of you probably went to those. They were 2 hours. We always presented 2 authors, and they got a full hour or 45 minutes to talk about their life as a writer, their work. And those were always lively programs. Well, so about a year into this little Literary Sala that we write gatherings of writers, one woman who was working with us at that time, whose name is Jody Fagan, turned to me and said, you know, this is a world-class destination. We should have a writers' conference here. Well, we all got excited about it, and we started the first writers' conference. It ended up being a weekend with 26 people. But the key thing about it was that I have a friend who was a good friend of the writer John Berendt, who wrote Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, which was a very big book at the time, and we succeeded in getting him to keynote. So we realized that that could be a good way for us to continue the draw for the conference. And over the years, we have featured as keynote speakers at an astonishing range of really the most distinguished and most popular and famous writers over the years. This is a very partial list. We've had Gloria Steinem, Barbara Kingsolver, Isabel Allende, Margaret Atwood, Delia Owens, who wrote Where the Crawdads Sing, Scott Turow, the mystery writer, legal writer. Judy Collins, one time, the singer, came and sang for us and keynoted. She was wonderful. Alice Walker, Adam Gopnik, you know, who writes for the for the New Yorker magazine and is also a commentator. Wally Lamb, Isabel Wilkerson, Calvin Trillin. It goes. Billy Collins, who's a beloved poet. During our COVID years, we went online and we were able to feature as keynote speakers Tom Hanks and Matthew McConaughey. And both of them gave delightful programs online. So it's a way that we have been able to put San Miguel on the world map of writers' conferences. So I'm going to have Jody tell you a little bit more about what is coming up this year. Well, let me just tell you the keynote speakers we have for this year. When I invited these keynote speakers, it's always a big, exciting challenge to invite the speakers that we most want to bring to San Miguel. And when I invited this group, I did not know that two of them would be nominated for the National Book Award, and one of them won the National Book Award, and that's Percival Everett, who wrote James. He's written many, many books. But he won the National Book Award for that book, which is the story of Huckleberry Finn, but told from the point of view of the black enslaved Jim. We also this year have an American literary legend, John Irving, and we're thrilled to be able to present him. The other National Book Award nominee was Kavi Akbar. We have Ruth Reichel coming, who's a famous food writer and a delightful presenter. Jennifer Clement, who's the first woman president of International Pen, and whose novels have been made into movies. They're all about Mexico and the cartels and what have you. And then John Valiant, who wrote an extraordinary book called Fire Weather, which couldn't be more relevant today. He's written a number of other nonfiction and novels. And then Jorge Hernandez, who is our Mexican keynote speaker, who's a really delightful guy who actually was very helpful and instrumental in the early years of the conference. I want Jody to tell you a little bit more now about some of the things we're planning for this year.
I'm not as tall as Susan. Maybe Joe and I. I don't know Joe, but I'm with you. So this year for me, it's my first year running the conference. I started volunteering 5 years ago, and then I was a conference attendee last year. And somehow this amazing role fell into my lap, and I couldn't be more honored to do it with my co-pilot here, Susan Page. It's been a real delight. And when we thought about how do we make the 20th anniversary really, really special? How do we bring back those elements from the past that people loved, as well as infuse new programming and starting to really diversify the conference by growing our Spanish speaking program, by bringing in a lot more of the younger generation, And so we did that first by diversifying our team. So some of you at the Margaret Atwood event met our team that had the volunteer badges, but they're really our team members. We have a huge diverse group of people. Half are Mexicans. There's a lot of bilingualism. We use a language justice principle where every staff member can talk in the language they feel most comfortable in. And so we started first by diversifying our team so that we could really reach a wider audience of folks. So this year, because it's our 20th anniversary, our Spanish speaking program is free to Mexican nationals and local Mexicans. And we have 7 incredible workshops and 3 intensive programs, all in Spanish, where I think for each one there's 30 people already signed up. So multiply 30 times 10. And then also the keynotes are free to a percentage of folks who are local as well. And this is our way to really thank Mexico, where we live, for having this enormous cultural event. We also have our teen creative writing program, which is 60 local teens from the area come for 3 days. They work with 2 incredible teachers, Rosie Rosario and Duncan, I'm going to butcher his last name. How do I say it? Tonatiuh, who's a famous children's writer, and he writes quite interesting political books for children. They will be teaching this workshop to the 60 kids, and then the kids will enter into a contest, and the winners will win a computer and also get to read their writing piece in front of Jorge F. Hernandez's keynote. So it's quite special. We have a scholarship program this year for 25 local Mexican university students who get to participate in the full conference and get all the benefits to start to help launch their writing career. And then this year, for the first time on Saturday, we wanted to try a bilingual program because we have so many bilingual teens here, including my children. And we're doing a workshop where we have one on graphic novels and avatars and the other on poetry and rap. So that is some new programming for this year. Then for our conference this year has so many things going on and it's so rich. And we've tried to create a program that has something for everyone. Whether somebody just wants to come to a keynote, or they want the works, which is all the workshops, the intensives, every keynote, every party. There's something for everybody. So I encourage you to look at the website and see the diversity of activities. We also tried to create lots of different price points to create accessibility for folks. So we have a lot of free programming. Many things happen in the afternoon in our program that are free. So we'll have this year, we're trying out these discussion circles where not only are folks presented at, but they're part of conversations discussing issues relevant to literature of our time. So, for example, one of them is on the ethics of AI in literature. Another is on the changing publishing industry. Another is on cultural appropriation in literature. And there's no right or wrong answers around these. They're really places to think and discuss together. So you can sign up for those, they're free. We have open mics and author readings in the afternoon where people can come and listen, read their work. So sign up for that if you want to share your work, or just come and listen to other people. And then we have the America's Read, which is a program every afternoon we feature, because we're a tri-national conference, Canada, the US, and Mexico. One afternoon, our USA faculty read, one afternoon, our Canadian faculty reads, and the other afternoon, our Mexican faculty reads their work. That's also open in the garden. We have an incredible bookstore. And then in the morning, we have these rich writers' workshops for folks that really want to dig into their craft, from emerging writers to serious writers. There's really something for everybody. And then we have a new Pleasures of Reading series for folks that are literature lovers. And Susan later can tell more about the specifics of that curated series. So we are so excited about this year's conference. We already have over 1,000 folks signed up to come to one or many events. We have people coming from Dubai, from India, from New Zealand. So we've been able to develop these strategic partnerships with other writing organizations in Canada, North America, and Mexico, where we cross-promote literature globally. And we are beginning to see the fruits of people that have never heard about our conference starting to say, San Miguel, that sounds like an interesting place. You have the most incredible keynotes. So this year is going to be fun. I didn't mention the parties. We have an opening and closing reception. We have our fiesta, which is going to be at Foro El Obraje, which is this old 18th century hacienda. And we're going to have amazing entertainment and food and really showcase the beautiful culture of Mexico. And then we're going to have a poetry fire circle at Susan's house in Galeria Totonilco one night, where we'll eat gorditas and share poetry around a fire circle. So I encourage you to go on our website, and really it's dense, so but you can dig through and see what speaks to you. And where can you find inspiration? I know, being an attendee at the event, I was completely inspired. So being in this role, I just get to help create that experience for others. And, I think my job is, along with Susan, is to usher in the new era of the Writers Conference. What is our future? What can we do? What dynamic programming? How can we be relevant? And so our dynamic team, we're grappling with these issues. So there'll be more to come in the future. And I'm just going to leave it at that and turn it back to Susan.
We we are so fortunate that Jody came on our team this year. She's just a dream to work with, extremely experienced and competent with great ideas. She once told me she'd like to set up her own consulting service that would just be ideas, only ideas, because she has lots of really good ones, and she's a dream to work with. Um, the One of the things I want to mention is that our conference is distinctive in a number of ways from other literary. Number one, we are tricultural, as Jody mentioned, bringing together the literary communities of Canada, the U.S., and Mexico. That's not only distinctive, it's very rich, because we are exposed to the literature of these other countries. It's true of each country, that they wouldn't otherwise know about. So that makes us distinctive. And uh, I'm forgetting the other reason we're distinctive. It'll come back to me. um, but we have we have really put San Miguel on the literary map of the world. It's one of the things. It's very important to support the arts in San Miguel. Rotary does all these wonderful programs for in the Campo for Mexicans this rich community we live in. But I always say that if we didn't have the rich artistic and cultural programs in San Miguel, we wouldn't be drawing all of us foreign community who support all these wonderful programs in the Campo. So when I lived in St. Louis, they were building the Arch, and there were a lot of people saying, "Oh, they're wasting all that money on this big monument. We should be helping the poor people in St. Louis communities." And it became very clear to me at that time, you have to do both. You can't wait until all of poverty is solved, until you support projects that really feed your soul and create the visions and that as I say, feed our souls. And literature is a big part of that. The Writers Conference has supported burgeoning and mid-career writers in many ways where they connect with agents, they learn skills that improve their craft. So it's a very rich week in that regard. According to the city of San Miguel, that week of the conference brings over $3 million US into the economy of San Miguel when you count taxis and hotels and restaurants and shops. So it's very important for San Miguel in that way, too. I want to introduce you to the patron program. It's still possible to become a patron. The patron, we really could not run the conference without the support of our loyal patrons, and it makes the conference a very rich experience for patrons. They get to sit up front in the crowded auditorium and VIP seating. We have a special hospitality lounge for patrons during the week, and then we have a lavish, wonderful patron dinner where patrons get to sit at a small table with a keynote speaker. So that's a wonderful program too, and that's still a possibility. And I have a brochure about it here if you are interested in that. So questions. We have time for questions. Oh, the other reason we're distinctive is that we combine a writers' conference with a literary festival, and that's unusual. A lot of writers' conferences are just workshops for writers. And then you know about literary festivals where they just bring in lots of famous writers. But we combine those two aspects of the event, and it makes it a very rich week.
Say something about the pleasures of reading.
Oh.
That's your baby.
Yeah. While the writers are in workshops to develop their writing skills and figure out how to do dialogue in their novel and that sort of thing, we thought there are many, many people who come to the conference who are not writers but are avid readers. So we wanted to create a series for them, and it's called The Pleasures of Reading. This year we have a workshop or a presentation on the lyrics of Leonard Cohen. We have one on John Steinbeck by the director of the Steinbeck Center. We have one on, Mayan poetry, both the poetry of the Maya, both historic and contemporary. And then also, Ruth Reichel is giving one on how we became a nation of foodies and several other programs. So that would be interesting for you to look at.
Okay, first question.
Thank you very much. Two questions. I have to leave this year, so I'm really disappointed. Do you have dates for next year's conference yet? And number two, do you do fundraising? How do you raise money for the conference?
I'll answer your first question. First, the dates are the 15th to the 20th next year of February. It's always mid-February, and it's always we end on the Sunday before President's Day, so it gives people a day to fly back. It's a national holiday, so it's mid-February. Our revenues come from registrations and patrons, and then some grants. And we're trying to increase that aspect of our fundraising, but mostly it's patrons and registrations. Is that right?
And business sponsorships.
That's right, business sponsorships. Several local businesses are sponsoring.
And
Questions?
just on the fundraising point, how we do our programs for free in Spanish, or if we wanted to grow emerging residency programs for emerging writers and start to diversify, we do need to increase our fundraising. So that's an initiative that Susan leads and that we've started this year to really look at how do we continue to grow that. And we'll be, this year we'll be getting our 501c3 status in the United States. We're Asociación Civil in Mexico, but we'll be getting that to help us with that as well.
Anyone else? Have we done it? Oop, one here.
Hi, thanks very much. That was very informative, Susan and Judy. I have a two-part, if I may. One is if you can comment on your marketplace that you're offering during the Writers' Conference, because it gives a good exposure to local artisans, including the kids from the School for the Deaf. And secondly, a few years ago, you mentioned the anniversary, the 20-year anniversary. A few years ago, if I recall, Susan, you dressed up and did a special dance as might have been a 15-year anniversary or whatever. Will you be doing the same again this year?
Okay, I'll talk about the mercado, and Susan can talk about her quinceañera. Um, we have a local market on site every afternoon that showcases local NGOs and also local indigenous artisans selling their craft and exposing all our attendees to the rich, programming and arts in San Miguel. So thanks for that plug. And then this year, I forgot to mention we have a happy hour every afternoon with a free tasting from a local winery or mezcaleria or cerveceria. So come to that. And then also we have wellness mornings this year where we'll be doing a yoga class at 8 a.m. to help people start their day. So the idea is it's a big conference, but it's like a retreat, because when you come to San Miguel, it's like a retreat. And Susan can mention about the 15th anniversary.
Well, the part of the point of this whole presentation is come to something. You may not be able to block out your whole week for this conference like people who come from the States for it. I think of it as summer camp for grown-ups. It's so much fun and so stimulating and exciting. But if you can't come to the whole week, pick and choose. You can go to our website, sanmiguelwritersconference.org, and check out the schedule and look at all these different things we've talked about, and come on over and pick up some of the vibe and the excitement and go to some of the programs, some like just a keynote or just a discussion group, or just a reading. Well, when we celebrated our 15th anniversary, we did a quinceañera, and I was the person who dressed up, and it was a lot of fun. We even, and quinceañeras, you learn a dance. There are six or eight guys and the quinceañera girl who do this whole dance, and we did that. It was a lot of fun. That was. Oh, I want to mention one other thing. Speaking of the marketplace, the School for the Deaf has a jewelry workshop, and they designed and created for us jewelry that is the logo of the Writers Conference. We have a fabulous logo, which is it's on this little brochure. It's based on an Aztec codex, and it's an Aztec-looking dog who discovered the source of water in San Miguel, which is why San Miguel was founded here, because the Padres dog found, that's the legend, found a source of water, a spring. And that spring has supported the arts in San Miguel, and in particular the literary arts. So the bottom of the logo is a pen. It's a really great logo. And the Deaf School created jewelry that is that logo, which will be available for purchase at the marketplace. And we really appreciated that. It was so clever.
Anything else? Well, let's thank Susan and Jody for a great presentation.
So San Miguel is so lucky that Susan Page and Meyer Schachter landed here in 2003. I remember when you all first arrived, and it's amazing what you've done. But I think you also are a founder of 100 Women Who Care, aren't you? Does everybody know 100 Women Who Care? This is an organization, they meet once every 3 months, 100 women and a few men, and they raise an amazing amount of money, more or less 100,000 pesos 4 times a year for young NGOs that are trying to get their start and taking off. And next Monday is the next meeting of 100 Women Who Care at La Casona Hotel on the 4th floor. 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock? Come at 4 and drink, and then loosen up, and then at 5 give your money, right? No, go ahead. Explain.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. It's everyone who comes brings 1,000 pesos, and and then we collect usually about 100,000 pesos, and all of that money goes to the one NGO that gets chosen that night. 3 organizations get chosen to give a presentation for 5 minutes, and then we vote. It is an extraordinarily simple and really effective way to do crowdfunding and raise money for these NGOs. Thank you for that, Lee, because we do have a meeting this coming Monday. As you said, you can come at 4 o'clock to mingle, and then we start the meeting at 5. And we welcome men. It's called 100 Women Who Care, but it's totally men and women. And we love, love, love to have men come. You just have to bring 1,000 pesos. That's it. Thank you.
There are about 20 that are in the process, and each time about a dozen show up.
Well, we have, yeah, there's some, as you said, 25 or so who are on our list. Those names get thrown into a hat at the meeting, and we draw 3. So that part is sort of arbitrary. We just draw 3 out of the hat. Those 3 get to give their presentation. So people come time after time hoping their name will be drawn, and eventually it is.
And then once you win, you're out of the hat for 2 years, and then you go back in the hat again. So, Midday Rotary's won at least twice, I think. We won once for the Girls Empowerment Project, which was an amazing funding to get that project off the ground. I think we got a rainwater harvesting project one time through that. Hospice care Mitigari has been a winner. We're back in the hat, showing up Monday. Be prepared, be ready for us. So yeah, no, it's an amazing. But the most wonderful thing about it is when you start an NGO, until you're a little bit established and you have some legal background and stuff, it's hard to raise money. But at 100 Women Who Care, if you're a young NGO with a good idea, you get vetted by the team that you're legitimate and you're doing something important, and you can get in that hat, and it can be can get you started. So anyhow. Thank you, and thank you for coming. And I think you have 20 of these, and this is your 21st. So, John. That's correct. Susan was Citizen of the Year in 2019. So, Susan is one of these people who came to San Miguel and changed San Miguel. That's amazing. So, thank you everybody for coming today. I hope you have a great week.